Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video I'm going to try and predict the player of the year for every Premier League club for the current season 23-24. Before we do that, please do subscribe to my channel if you're new here. Drop the bell to get a notification when I do new videos. Comment below with your thoughts on player of the year for your team or all the teams, or whether I've been harsh or generous or right or wrong. Drop a like on the video and subscribe to my Patreon where you can get extra ranking videos. Doing one next week. I've already got my idea for a Patreon ranking video for next week, and get mentioned below in the show notes of every video, which is in there right now. So a couple of quid a month, you can get all those rewards and you can help the channel grow and move forward. Right, a few weeks ago, I did rank the player of the year, I think, of every club from the Premier League, I think. So now we're going to move forward, do some predictions and see who's going to be player of the year for each club at the end of the season. And we can revisit this in the end and see how I did. Starting with Arsenal. Last year, it was Martin Ødegaard, fantastic player, captain, leader, legend. Probably shouldn't be saying that with Arsenal. And did very well. This year, I predict player of the year is also going to be midfielder. It's going to be Declan Rice. That's my prediction. It's going to turn out to be a fantastic signing. I don't know if Arsenal are going to win the league. I'm not sure if they are. I think it's going to be City, but I think Arsenal will still push them close. And I think Declan Rice is going to prove to be an absolute leader. They're going to free up Ødegaard to be even better, Saka to be even better, Havertz maybe chip him a few goals. Declan Rice is going to step up a level from West Ham, where he was player of the year last year, and he's going to be player of the year for Arsenal 23-24. On to Aston Villa, where last year it was Douglas Luiz, who I think is one of those players that's probably quite underrated in the Premier League by clubs or fans of clubs that aren't Aston Villa. I'm sure Villa fans love him. Already scored a goal this season, took a penalty, looks like he got penalty responsibilities off Ollie Watkins. But I'm going to say that player of the year for Villa this year is going to be Ollie Watkins. That's my prediction. Going to score goals. I think he's going to have an even better season than last year. Europe, already scored a hat-trick in Europe. So I think he's going to kick on. I think Luiz will still be good and be up there. I think Pau Torres is going to be a great signing for Villa. But my prediction for player of the year for Villa for this year is Ollie Watkins. Moving on to Bournemouth, whose player of the season last year was Jefferson Lerma, who's obviously moved on to Palace. They've made some smart signings this year. Max Aarons, has Max Aarons signed yet? If he has, great signing. And I'm going to go for another new signing for player of the year. Although I think goalkeeper Neto might be up for it. Dominic Solanke, obviously always in the running. I'm going to go for Tyler Adams. He's a fantastic signing from Leeds. He got relegated. He's absolutely brilliant. I think he'll do really well. Smart signing for Bournemouth. Player of the year for me. Moving on to Brentford, where last season player of the year was Ben Mee, which surprised me. I thought it was going to be Ivan Toney, though I guess, the whole Ivan Toney thing maybe shine a bit, maybe couldn't be awarded player of the year. So no Ivan Toney for the first few months of the season this year. Who's going to be player of the year? They've got a lot of players like Ben Mee who are going to do a decent, put in a decent shift. Matthias Jensen's a very good player, but my prediction for player of the year this year, he's already stepped up and showed he's got responsibility in Tony's absence. It's Bryan Mbeumo. Already scored 3 goals. He's going to score loads more. He's going to lead the line in Tony's absence, and he's going to win player of the year for Brentford this year. On to Brighton, whose player of the year last year could have been one of many, but it was in fact Pascal Gross. Talk me through that one, Brighton fans. Wasn't McAllister, wasn't Caicedo, wasn't Mitoma. It was Gross, wasn't March. Anyway, my prediction this year, obviously, Gross is still there. I don't know, he looks like he's still a starter. Hey, maybe he could. I know he's a bit of a legend down in Sussex, but Caicedo's gone, McAllister's gone. My prediction is I think Lewis Dunk will be up there. I think Solly March again, but my prediction is Kara Mitoma for player of the year. Already had a great start, brilliant player. Could be his last year at Brighton, and I think he's going to really smash it this year. So Brighton's player of the year, Mitoma. On to Burnley, whose player of the year last year was Josh Cullen. Regular in midfield. My prediction, for player of the year this year is going to be James Trafford, who's just signed from Man City. I think he's going to be very busy this year, but he's already proven in the Euros for the under-21s this summer he's a very good goalkeeper. My prediction for Burnley, player of the year, James Trafford. Moving on to Chelsea, whose player of the year last year was Thiago Silva. He's going to obviously feature again this year. Big turnover of players this year, so nailing down who I thought the player of the year would be difficult. I'm going to go with a player. Well, I've got 2 players in contention who I think are going to be stalwarts this season. The player that are going to Ben Chilwell, who's already started the season quite well, and Raheem Sterling, who also was very, very good at the weekend against West Ham despite Chelsea's defeat. I'm going to go, though, for Ben Chilwell. I think he's just a bit more consistent. We'll probably end up playing more games than Sterling. But Ben Chilwell is my prediction for Chelsea player of the year, but I think one of their new signings, like Nick Jackson, might get their young player of the year. But Chilwell for me. Moving on to Crystal Palace, whose player of the year last year was Czech Doucouré. I think he'll be up there again, potentially. Great first year in English football. Jefferson Lerma, who was player of the year for Bournemouth, of course, mentioned earlier. I think he'll be up there, but I'm going to go for Eberechi Eze. I'm banking on Ebs having a big season. Great first game of the season, a bit quieter in the second game. Under Roy, he really does flourish. So Eze for me, player of the year for Palace this year. Let's go on to Everton, who's player of the year last year with Jordan Pickford. Probably will be him again, but I'm going to go someone slightly differently, mainly because Pickford's been terrible in the first 2 games. And someone that I think is a very underrated player in the Premier League, and I think he's fantastic for Everton. That's Amadou Onana in midfield, who I suspect was in the running last year anyway. He's going to be Everton's player of the year for 23-24. On to Fulham, whose player of the year last year was Palhinha, who was absolutely brilliant. He's injured currently, going to miss the first 2 games of the season, but sounds like he'll be back soon. And as soon as he's back, I think Fulham will improve. And that's why I think Palhinha will again win player of the year for Fulham in 23-24. On to Liverpool, whose player of the year last year was Alisson Becker, which surprised me, to be honest, but actually I guess does make sense. He's very consistent and very good. Who's going to be player of the year this year? I think it's going to be an interesting one. I'm going for a slightly left field pick. I was going to pick Trent Alexander-Arnold as a sort of comeback season, but hasn't started the season brilliantly. So I'm going to go for a player who may not play that many games. I think he will. Diogo Jota. That's my prediction for player of the year. I think he's going to pop up with loads of important goals. He's going to play more games than you think. Jota. This is a bit of an outside shout here for player of the year for Liverpool 23-24. On to Luton, whose player of the year last year was Tom Lockyer. He's a bit of a club legend. Is he going to win player of the year this season? I don't know. I'm going to go for someone who's already scored for them this year, and I think he's going to pop up with quite a few important goals, although I think Luton will still go down. It's Carlton Morris up front, already shown I think he can kick it in the Premier League. He'll be my prediction for Luton player of the year 23-24. On to Man City, whose player of the year last year was Erling Haaland, unsurprisingly, and this year it's going to be just joking. It's going to be Erling Haaland again. I can't really see past him. Already off the mark with a couple of goals this season. I think there'll be some players that will push him close. I think De Bruyne could have a big season. I think Gvardiol could be a fantastic signing at the back. And I think Rodri in midfield is fantastic. And again, there's one of those players that I think really loved by City fans, but can't let past Haaland again, player of the year. On to Man United, whose player of the year last year was Marcus Rashford, unsurprisingly with that incredible run of goals. Is he going to be this player of the year this year? I don't know. I think Rasmus Højlund's signing is going to be very interesting to see what they do up front. My prediction for player of the year is quite simple. It's going to be Andre Onana. I think, they've needed a consistent goalkeeper. I think it's going to do very well. Great keeper. I think he's going to pick up loads of man of the match awards and easily be Man United's player of the season. Let's move on to Newcastle, where I think there could be loads of candidates for player of the year. Last year it was Kieran Trippier, unsurprisingly, but the likes of Joe Linton, Bruno Guimaraes, Almiron, Isaac could have all been up for it. I think they all will be again. But I think this year we've already seen the spark, little hint of who's going to be player of the year. Tonoli, their new Italian stallion. That's who I think he's going to revolutionise that midfield and be player of the year for Newcastle this season. On to Nottingham Forest, who just stayed up the skin of their teeth last year. But another tricky season, I think, for the tricky trees. It could be a long season. Last year's player of the year, Morgan Gibbs-White, who's a player I love. I'd love him at Palace. I think he'll be up there again, but I'm going to go for Anmoimni. I hope I got that right. I definitely haven't. The striker they got in January has already scored a goal this season, and I think he's going to score loads of goals and be an absolute pivotal point for Forest this year. So that's my prediction for player of the year for Forest. Sheffield United, player of the year last year was Ndai. Their forward who scored loads of goals in the Championship. He's gone. It's been a tough start for United so far this season and a tough summer, but we saw in their last game that they've got a player who I think is going to do very well for them, Gustavo Hammer. The new guy, he's going to be player of the year. Scored a great goal already. I think he's going to do really well for them this season. That's my prediction for Sheffield United player of the year. On to Spurs. Of course, it was Harry Kane last year, player of the year. Can't be him because he's gone this year. So who's it going to be? I think it's going to be a new signing. James Maddison is already proven to be, very much a Spurs player. Settled in quickly already this season. I think he's going to really, really have a good season and score lots of goals and get assists from midfield. So he's my prediction for player of the year for Spurs 23-24. James Maddison. On to West Ham, whose player of the year last year, of course, was Declan Rice, leading them to European Cup glory. He's gone to Arsenal. So who will it be? I think Jared Bowen will be in the mix. I think James Ward-Prowse will be in the mix. But I think my prediction is going to be Jared Bowen, who, of course, was very good last season and already off and running this season as well. He's my prediction for for West Ham player of the year, 23-24. And finally, we have Wolves, who last year it was Ruben Neves, who, of course, has gone to Saudi. So who's going to be their player of the year? I think if he stays, Núñez could be their player of the year if he doesn't go to Man City. If he does, I think it'd be someone like Max Kilman, who's a very, very solid defender. So got two up there for Wolves. I hope that's okay, Wolves fans. There you go, guys. That's my predictions for this player of the year for each club in the Premier League this year. Let me know, was I right, was I wrong, am I going to be close, am I wide of the mark? Comment below, let me know, like the video, subscribe if you're new here for loads more videos like this and some parody songs which are on the horizon, and subscribe to my Patreon to get mentioned in every video, to get extra rankings, which I'm doing next week for my patrons for this month, and to help the channel grow and move forward. Thanks guys, have a great weekend. I will see you next week with more ranking videos. Until then, take care, bye bye.